Hi, Chris DeLeon here of HomeTeam and what I want to do today is just provide a quick dive into a look at this particular slice of time of what's happening in HomeTeam and our online, worldwide, remote, mentored game development practice groups. At the moment, there are 9 games in development split across our 2 communities, which we call Apollo and Outpost. Provide a bit of clarity on those in a second, but first let's look at some examples of what's going on in those projects. And as a couple of notes on these at a high level before getting into their specifics, right, keep in mind these are all done by people around the world who are just members as well. The project leads are just fellow members who decide to prototype and pitch. These are all in longer time frames than a jam. So instead of taking place in 48 hours over a weekend, they take place over a span of anywhere from 6 weeks to sometimes as much as 6 months. And they're on staggered schedules. So some of these are near release, some of these are just starting out. And because of that too, at any given moment, the amount of projects going on in HomeTeam might vary between as few as 2 in one of our communities, as many as maybe 7 in one of our communities, but it fluctuates. Which also means that depending on when you watch this video, if and when you apply to join HomeTeam GameDev and build games with us and learn with us, these same games might not be going on. Different games will be going on, including games you decide to pitch. Without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the projects going on right now is called Mystic Chambers. It's being led by Galih, and it is a raycaster. So think of Wolfenstein 3D, but more like the Doom engine, the classic Doom engine, in which case it's got proper polygons on the walls. Custom rendering technology, as always, all of our assets, all of our models, all of our sounds, all of our art is all made by our members. No outside stuff, no found stuff, no bot stuff, but Mystic Chambers is coming along great. Another game going on is called Paper to Pail. This one's being led by Misha, or Michael, and it's a aircraft flight sim, but you're playing a paper airplane, doing stunts, trying to get to the trash pail, and for this week we actually had a really impressive, lovely opening made by i4s out in Germany. I love that so much. Another game going on lately is Zeno Jackers. This one's co-led, meaning that it's got 2 people together as leads of the group. In this case, it's Axfin, or Jeff, and H. And what you see here is its Game Boy aesthetic, it's classic pixel art. This is all custom engine. It's something where H has now led a number of projects, so he's able to leverage some existing tech he's developed before those. And then Axfin's largely helping out from the visual, the aesthetic, the art direction side, in addition to the general scope and design of the project. Now, that said, I will mention that even though those are the leads, in our group, we strongly believe in servant leadership. Each of these projects exist as a practice place for everyone else to chip in at. So if someone comes in there and has an idea for an enemy, they can make that enemy happen. It's not getting assigned to them from above. Anybody who wants to can practice any side they want to these projects because they're all freeware, they're all for practice. Another game we're building right now, also in the Apollo group, is Galih Strike. That's being led by Simon. It's a classic. You might think Galaga, but a little more kind of a scrolling shooter. At this stage, it's still mostly enemies on screen. Got some really terrific pixel art going on there. Just this past week in the time since that last Sunday update, I know he's added some level structure in there, so they're starting to be able to better define their challenges. Also, for testing's sake, it's making it easier for them to test the boss combat separate from Asteroids Collision or some other feature of their game. Bundle of 30 language games is exactly what it sounds like. It's led by Stebbs. He's joining us out from East Asia, and it's a really incredible combination of mini games, and each one of those games is built around learning and practicing different features of language. So matching up spoken language to the symbols, matching up and vice versa, matching up the words. But instead of being flashcards, it makes a whole series of games out of them. You see there's got some stuff where there's a fishing game. We've got various kind of bird-inspired games, lots of little mini mechanics. Think of it a bit like WarioWare, but for language learning. And it's been developed in a generalizable enough way that they're able to plug in different languages, different symbols. And so he's got it, I think, with some rudimentary Chinese, with maybe some Vietnamese, with also just people who are new to English, learning pronunciation of letters. And it's a really cool experiment going on over there. Lots of people chipping in different art, different design ideas, different prototypes. Similar to Bundle of 30 Language Games, another project that's sort of a meta project is one called Hidden Passages 2. That's one that I'm leading. And this one's a bit unusual in that many of our projects use either JavaScript on Canvas HTML5 or Unity C# as our primary tech. Here we involve those, but we also use Twine as building a central experience into navigating those. And the idea of Hidden Passages 2 is that players are wandering into an empty game studio. It's a sequel to a game called Hidden Passageway we released, I think, about a year or 2 ago. And in it, the player is finding prototypes left behind by people. And so we program those prototypes in JavaScript Canvas, in Unity C# or also in Twine. And we thread all those together with sort of an overarching meta puzzle. But we have some new models that came in for that. We've got some new music that came in for that. We have this really cool old-fashioned simulated display terminal. Part of the meta narrative of our game is you can go back in time, you can go forward in time. There's different settings where we're embedding these prototypes in. There's an R&D toy lab and so on. As well as we've also got some new tech built in there just about a week or 2 ago to be able to link back from our Unity scenes into our Twine stuff in ways that manipulate the variables. So we're very proud of the underlying tech in there. Lots of time left on the project, more prototypes coming together, so many bits and pieces there, including I'm really pleased that there's a cool statue that H is building from Ozymandias. So that was all the projects going on right now in Apollo Group in the past week. Now, also at the end of that meeting, Apollo Group meets weekly at 11:30 a.m. Sundays every Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Pacific every Sunday. And about once a month, sometimes twice a month, we have an industry guest speaker. We've had over 100 speakers in the past 4 years. Our group's been going different segments of industry, different backgrounds. And in this case, Tim Handley is an educator in sciences. He's an educator in game design. He's also an independent game developer. He's been featured by Indicate and been a speaker at Indicate. So I also know him through my Indicate alumni organizing. He's also helped organize our field trips in past years. And it's a case where he talked to us about science and games and education. As always, we're going to take that audio and make a free podcast episode out of it. That might be now 2 to 4 weeks from now. We got some others in the queue. But of course, members get to hear it first, and members also get to be there live for Q&A. Now, when I say live, and I talk about these Sunday meetings, a couple notes about it. One, not every member's at those Sunday meetings. Those meetings are not mandatory. They are able to be, anyone who can hop in can, anyone who can't, not a big deal. Development isn't happening in those meetings. Those meetings are just the leads saying, here's what happened in the past week and who's been contributing on this particular project. Here's the current state of it. They do a little show and tell. They say, here's what we're doing in the week ahead. Members then freely move between projects for whatever tasks interest them that week. And that includes not every single week people have to do something. So say this past week we had, I think, total 26 members involved on projects. We have way more than 26 people, but rotates which 26 are involved, plus or minus, varies every single week, depending on some people are involved once a month, some people are involved twice a month, some people are involved several times a week. It flexibly fits around whatever time each member has. So if what they have is one evening a week or one every other week because they're busy people, got kids, day job, etc., we make it work so they're able to still contribute in a way that comes together. We release a lot of games. Now, so that Apollo Group, they have those live meetings every Sunday. That's also when the guest speakers come at the end of it. The Outpost community is specifically designed for our members who a regular meeting on a midday Sunday, which of course like in East Asia, Australia might be Monday morning, is a tricky time zone play for them. Instead, in Outpost, the leads just send me the videos ahead of time. So it's still the exact same structure, the same learning resources, the same training meetings, the same meetings with me for help in leading their projects and organizing and planning out their schedules. But no one simultaneously meets. The leads send me the updates ahead of time. I stitch those together to our update videos. So let's take a look over what's happening over in Outpost at this time. Multiple time project lead Justin Chen has got Mobius Inversion happening. It's a Unity 2.5D space shooter taking place in, I think, our first scene here. We have Japan. We got a cool new tower added in the background. Have some new improvements to the AI and that structure. That's a very early stage project, but that's going on there. We also had 2 new pitches just in this past week. And again, those are purely just every member who wants to can lead. We've had about a third of members be project leads. But we have Video Knock coming to us from Ashley. And in Video Knock, it's inspired by kind of the turn-based air hockey style games. And it's got kind of a video ball inspired aesthetic. Off to a good start there with the prototype already. And I've just had a meeting about it 5 hours ago. Already making big strides and cool improvements there on the AI going into week 2. And then the other new pitch we had was Hard Glitch, led by Claim, another multiple-time project lead. In this case, this is his second pitch, I believe. And for Hard Glitch, it's a roguelike, so it's largely randomly procedurally generated. It's based on happening inside of a computer, which opens up a lot of neat possibilities about teleportation and transposition. And he's got a great framework he's set up in terms of when projects pitch, the state of their prototype is very different. Sometimes it's barely a graphic moving around on a screen, and they say, they kind of explain the vision. Other times, like in Claim's case, he put a lot of code framework in place already that will help enable kind of the turn-based process. So when the player interacts with it, the other units all move. But fundamentally, it was actually built on the video content of my second course. So my video course is on Udemy, now used by 250,000 people. That second one, it ends on an array of examples how we can take this tile-based structure and apply it in different kinds of genres. A lot of our first pitches, second pitches, sometimes third pitches from leads is that they'll take that exact same code from that video course that I authored, and because it's my code, I can give them the right to do this. They build off that as a starting point and take it a whole new direction, make a whole different kind of game out of it, a whole different genre, add a lot of features to it, add a lot of functionality. We meet for a pitch planning meeting. I help guide them through scoping that stuff, and we do it. And that's how we've released the 90 some odd games currently available at HomeTeamGameDev.com under our released games section. Given that we've got 90 games released and 9 games currently in development, and there's actually 2 more pitches that I know are behind the scenes being worked on at this moment, our 100th game has already been started. It's a great time to join HomeTeam Game Dev. We're thriving at both communities, Outpost and Apollo. I'm just now letting in some more people off our application queue, which is going to free up some spots in the not too distant future. Go to HomeTeamGameDev.com, apply if you'd like to take part in building games with us. So there's always new things going on. Every project is original. Nothing that we're doing is an exact clone or following an exercise of something that existed before it. Each thing we're building, we're solving new challenges collaboratively, remotely, with one another around the world. And it's, of course, like I say, an open group to apply to. So check us out, HomeTeamGameDev.com.